Are you ready for a career upgrade? One where you are valued and respected for your expertise, where you get to use your strengths every day, where you're doing work that matters, where you have healthy boundaries, and where you're paid really freaking well. And not only that, but you get to use your privilege to open doors and support others in their pursuit of their own upgraded careers? Well, if that sounds good, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Nicole Case, and after a decades-long career in corporate HR, I'm sharing my behind-the-scenes insider knowledge on how you can upgrade your own career and succeed in this wild corporate world. Each episode will have practical, actionable takeaways that you'll be able to implement right away with some healthy doses of encouragement and maybe a kick in the pants or two. Plus, you'll hear from other amazing women who have upgraded their own careers on their terms. So pour yourself a favorite beverage and let's dive into today's episode. Welcome back to the Upgraded Career Podcast. I'm your host, Nicole Case, and today we are doing a mini mid-year review. So I want to show you how I like to pause and review how the year's gone so far and just what are some tweaks that we need to make for the rest of the year. And I would love it if you would follow along and do this right along with me. So first, it is important to step back and do a review a few times a year, right? Like we're just going a million miles a minute and we probably set some really awesome, amazing goals at the beginning of this year, but it's really, really important to make sure that we are on the right track. You know, when was the last time you went back and you took a look at those goals to kind of see how you're doing, right? But it's also to ensure that we recognize if we need to change things up. So if maybe things are not quite where you were hoping they were going to be at this time, this is the perfect opportunity to sit down, take a look at things, see, do we need to change anything up? Are there things we need to drop? And finally, just doing a mid-year review can really help us be reminded of all the amazing things that we have already done. I don't know if that sounds familiar to anybody, but a lot of times us super driven, achievement, goal-oriented people, a lot of times we can be like, yeah, on to the next thing. And we forget to pause and celebrate a little bit. Or what happens with me a lot of times is I feel like I'm not doing so well or I'm not hitting my goals. And I have to remind myself, Nicole, it's only halfway through the year. You're good. You got some time. And also look at what all you've done already. So this was such a really great opportunity for me to sit down and do some reflection. And I thought I've got to share it with you all. And also the timing is great because you're listening to this on August 1st. August is the 3-year anniversary of me being in my business full time. So this is just kind of a big kind of milestone for me in general. And so we're going to talk through again, kind of what came up for me during my own reflection. And I'd love it again if you would come along with me when and do this yourself, perhaps. So if you want to do a mid-year review, here are just kind of 3 main questions, or I'm sorry, 4 main questions, 5 main questions. Sorry, 5 main questions that I ask myself when I'm doing a review like this. So it's what worked, what didn't, what do I want more of, what do I want less of, and based on that, what actions do I need to take? So super simple questions. Not very complicated. Let's not overthink these, right? A lot of times our self-coaching questions or our coaching questions, the questions we need to ask our team, they're really simple. So what worked, what didn't, what do I want more of, what do I want less of, and then what actions do I need to take? So first, what worked so far this year? A lot of things worked. And I totally didn't realize it until I sat down and did this. And I kind of feel silly because I'd been beating myself up a little bit about kind of how the year has gone. I was like, think good things have happened, sure, but also I feel a little behind on things. I'm feeling a little stressed, feeling a little overwhelmed. And anytime that happens, I need to remind myself, hey, I need to sit down and do a little bit of a review. Anytime you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, pause for a minute, sit down and journal through it. Again, what's going on? So you can even do these questions in those moments too. But again, it was just kind of the time of the year to do this anyway. And it really, really felt good to work through this. So one of my big goals this year was to have more fun. That's it. One of my goals this year, I wanted to have more fun. I remember last year somebody asking me what I do for fun, and I didn't have a great answer for that. I was like, I work and that's it. So it was really important to me this year that I took some action or did some things that were absolutely not towards any other goal except to have fun. And I've done that. So I have been taking a dance class. I think I mentioned it here before. I've been taking a dance video divas class where we basically just show up and learn the choreography to the original choreography to music videos. So we've done Janet Jackson, we've done Britney Spears, we've done Cisco's Thong Song. It's been so much fun. And again, there is no purpose to it at all, except that we show up at 7:30 on Monday nights and we learn the choreography. There's no performance, there's no recital, there's nothing to it. It's just a bunch of geriatric millennials showing up and trying to relive our youth basically. And it's so much fun. Holy cow, it's so much fun. If I could take that class every single night, I would. So much fun. I'm actually not taking it right now over the summer. They didn't offer it over the summer, which was a bummer. But I'm gonna take it again. I plan on taking it again this fall. And I actually think I'm gonna say it out loud here for the first time. I actually think I'm gonna add a ballet class because it's been a gazillion years since I've taken a ballet class. And the ballet class meets right before the dance video divas class. And so I think I'm gonna just like kind of tack that on. I think it's like it feels really intimidating, but I know it's a beginner's class. So I think I'm gonna do that this fall. I'm really excited for it. So again, no purpose whatsoever except that it's fun. The other thing that I did was I started getting involved with this group called the Women's Social Club. They have a really great podcast too. I'll link that in the show notes for you. They have a really awesome podcast, but it's really just a group. There's chapters all over the US. They've been expanding like crazy over the last year, where literally, again, it's just meant for women to come together and just to meet each other. I've been a part of so many different leadership groups, networking groups, and those are great. And I'm a part of some of those. But what is so awesome about Women's Social Club is like, again, it's literally just to meet new people. We get together and have dinner, or we go for walks, or we do some other, paint and sip sort of randomness, right? Like it's just meant to be fun. There's no business thing associated with it. There's no career networking hustle thing associated. There's none of that. There's no business cards being traded, like none of that stuff, which again, there's room for that, right? Those groups are perfect and necessary for certain things, but the purpose of me being in this group is just to meet other women. Other women. It's so cool and it's so much fun. And I met such amazing, delightful women as part of this group. So again, super fun, super light, not a lot of pressure. The last thing that I have done this year that I've like really, really kept up with just consistently is I am reading fiction for the first time in a really long time. And I don't know if you know this about me, but I'm actually a huge kind of sci-fi and fantasy nerd. I think I've talked about my love of Harry Potter on here. I actually started this year with rereading all of the Harry Potter books. That's what I did starting in January. I reread all of the Harry Potter books, and now I'm on all of the Wheel of Time books. So if you watch the show, the Amazon show Wheel of Time, the second season is getting ready to come out here in September. My husband and I watched the first season. We are like, yeah, this is pretty good. This is interesting. And then I just kind of looked up more of more about the books that the show is based on, and come to find out there are 14 books. So, needless to say, I'm working my way through those. It's just been so nice, and I've been reading on my Kindle at night in bed, and I find myself going to bed early because I want to get a good hour and a half in reading time. And it's just been such a nice way to kind of shut my brain off at the end of the day because I have a hard time sleeping. I've talked about on here before that I struggle with my sleep, and it's just been a great way to shut my brain off. It's been really, really helpful. Which means though, I have not actually been reading a ton of business books or personal development books this year. We'll talk about more about that in just a second. But what I find is that I cannot read those kinds of books in the evenings or like in bed. I can't do that because my brain is going in a different way, right? In in fantasy fiction sort of books, of course, my brain's going too, and I'm I'm, envisioning, what these characters look like and all of that. And kind of my imagination is going kind of fun, which is great. But it's just a different side of my brain in a way than me listening or listening to like business podcasts or listening to or reading a business book because I'm always like bringing that back to my own business, to my clients, oh, that's triggering a thought for a podcast episode, different things like that. It's not to say that I don't get that inspiration from fiction books too, because I do. But for whatever reason, it just feels so much lighter. And again, there's no purpose. There is no purpose to reading this fiction except that it's fun and I enjoy it. And I used to do it a lot when I was young. And I'm just so happy that I've picked that habit back up. So that's my fun. So that goal is going super well. Super happy about that. The next goal that I had this year was really around really focusing on my health and wellness. And so one of the things I started doing in February was working with a dietitian. So I started working with Tracy earlier this year and just really getting a lot of testing done, kind of understanding some food sensitivities, getting my gut health kind of in check. And I'm currently now working on some inflammation stuff. So like all of that is going super well. And I'm just so glad that I kind of took the step to kind of reach out and just kind of get those kinds of things figured out. Cause I was finding that I was, really tired, and just kind of like knew that there was something a little bit off that I wanted to get more specific details about myself. This is kind of, again, another reason why I love coaching so much is because, yeah, we can read the business books, we can listen to all the podcasts, but really applying some of these things specifically to our situation, I think is so powerful. So again, for me, again, I can read all of the things, watch all of the influencers on, how to optimize my health and wellness, on Instagram and whatever. And I follow some awesome people on there. But I also think it's super important to understand specifically what's going on with you in your own specific body. So it was so awesome to be working with Tracy this year and really ironing out those things. So, working with a dietitian, that's going well. I also started a regular Sunday yoga practice. I used to do yoga way more regularly before COVID. And I think probably like a lot of people, some of those habits kind of fell to the wayside. And I'm somebody that likes to work out or go to classes. I like to go to classes with other people. Doing this at home during COVID, I tried doing some yoga stuff at home. I did that a little bit. But I was really struggling to do it regularly. And there was a particular instructor that I absolutely love. And I started going back to her Sunday yoga practice, which I've just really enjoyed. It's just something that really sets off my week, because it's in the morning and then I go to the grocery store afterwards, get our quick groceries afterwards at Wegmans and I go home. And then it's just a really great way to get the week started for me. The other thing that I've been doing really well is I've been continuing with my regular therapy sessions. So, I found a therapist about 3 years ago now. Um, at the time when I went full time on my business, there may or may not have been a correlation there. But I started seeing Jennifer about 3 years ago, and I have continued on those regular therapy sessions. We meet almost every Monday, unless something comes up on either of our ends. But we meet most Mondays, and that has, I think, totally transformed, um, just kind of my relationships with my family, with my husband, my friends, and my relationship with my business. Frankly, it has been such a game changer in just navigating life and navigating business. So one of the things that we have been working on in our therapy sessions is this idea of leaning into my natural flows and my natural energies. And so really in the last probably 4 or 5 months, I've really been leaning into that a lot more, not fighting it when I'm tired. I'm not just trying to beat myself up to push through. I'm thinking about, okay, when are the times do I need to push through? When are the times do I need to just kind of, rest because, the wave has crashed and now we need some calmer waters, right? Or, when I'm in a big wave, like I'm feeling like all this energy, super inspired, lean into those, and that might be a long day for me. Maybe I work, a 12 or 16-hour day because I have the energy to do that. So I'm not going to shame myself for working a long day to say, no, Nicole, you should be, really putting boundaries around your time and not working such long hours. Well, you know what? There's some days that I feel like it. I want to work long hours because I love what I do. I love the things that I'm working on and I've got the energy to do it. So, you know what? I'm going to ride that wave. And then there's going to be days where I'm just not feeling it, and that's okay too. And let me lean into that as well. So I've really started to lean into that and I'm definitely seeing some really good results as a result of that. One being I'm not feeling nearly as guilty about resting or working longer hours when that makes sense for me. So that's my health and wellness. Now, the last big goal on my list is my career and my business, right? So, how has that been going over the last several months? Well, one big win I'm happy to report is that I have not joined any new boards or leadership position. And that's such a big thing for me because, I love helping. I love being supportive. I'm constantly having people asking me to join boards of directors or join this volunteer group or volunteer in this place. And I have told people over the last year and a half, I am cutting that down to just a few things that are really, really important to me. And I'm staying super engaged with those particular organizations, but I'm not taking on anything new at this point. I do not have the bandwidth to do that. I will show up to certain things when I'm able to. I'm happy to show up, but I'm not going to be in leadership positions or planning positions or anything like that. And I've held strong to that. And if you are somebody who struggles saying no, or you get really excited when you're invited to do things like that, I hear you. I feel you. We'll have more episodes on this coming up. But that was a big win for me. The other thing is I published 33 episodes of this podcast. This is episode 33. So I publish a new episode every single week on podcasts. And let me tell you how big of an accomplishment that was for me because holy cow, that has been a story that I've been telling myself for so long that I'm not consistent enough, that I'm too flaky, I'm not dependable enough, I don't have the discipline to be able to publish a podcast regularly. And that kept me from doing it for a really long, like years. It seriously kept me for 5 years from doing this podcast. And so here we are, episode 33. And if you've been following along this whole time, thank you so much. I'm just so honored that you have my voice in your earbuds regularly every week, or maybe you've just found me recently and you're starting to go back and binge some past episodes. Again, so grateful for you. Thank you so much for being here and for all the feedback that you're sharing with me. I hear from you all so often on either LinkedIn or through email, just letting me know how much these podcast episodes have meant for you, or that was the message that you needed to hear today. And that was exactly what you needed to hear. And you're so grateful. I'm grateful that you're finding value, that you're listening and you're telling everybody else about the podcast. So thank you. Thank you so much. So again, that was a huge accomplishment for me. About about halfway, about halfway through the episodes, I realized that I needed some more help. And I hired a marketing assistant to help me with the kind of marketing side of thing, advertising side of things of the podcast. Because again, I can say the most profound, amazing, awesome things, but if you all can't find it or you all don't know about it, then I'm not going to be able to help as many people as I want. So I hired Bobby back in April, and she has just been so phenomenal and amazing. And frankly, she was the first person I've ever hired on onto my team contract or whatever. I've never hired or asked for help in this way before. I've always hired coaches to help coach me through things, but I've always taken the action, whatever that was. And so that was a big thing for me to make that decision that listen, I need to invest in this way. I need to hire somebody. I need to relinquish a little bit of control here and get some help. Now, Bobby might tell you that Nicole, you're still struggling in this area a little bit because I'm giving you all kinds of great assets and you're not posting them all the time. And yes, that's definitely true. And we'll talk about that here in just a minute when it gets to what is not working. But hired a marketing assistant for the first time, made my first hire. That is a huge, huge deal for me and a huge win. The other big thing that I'm super excited to announce that I have already hit my stretch revenue goal for this year. We're only in July and I have already hit not just the revenue goal I set for myself. I hit my stretch revenue goal. And again, that's amazing. I'm only 3 years into this business thing. I have well exceeded my corporate salary. And I'm feeling super good about that. I am generating money by myself. Like, I am making money by myself. Like, if you are a business owner or if you've ever aspired to be a business owner or if you watched other people be business owners, like, that's a huge deal. Like, I am making money on my own. That's like wild. And it's so cool. And I'm super proud of that. Super duper proud of that. So there's that. And so, you might ask Nicole, how are you making money? Well, I'm doing that through doing training. I do training for an HR consulting firm. I'm one of their contract facilitators, which I love, and it's so much fun. I also do corporate consulting. So I've had a couple of corporate consulting projects that I've been approached and worked on this year. And then also I do my private coaching as well, which is great. So things are going well, having fun, working on my health, and business is rocking and rolling. So, what didn't work? Well, as you can imagine, if we want to correlate the fact that I've, hit some really big financial goals this year, I've worked a lot. I've worked a lot so far this year. And I have, again, like if I'm trying to like ride the waves, like I shared, trying to ride the waves, like that's great. But when I am coming down and I'm realizing, okay, let me like kind of work a lot for the next 2 months because I've got this project going, then the next month things kind of slow down a little bit. And that's great. And so that's a way for me to kind of look forward to, what's next, or be like, you know what, I can move, this at this pace for a period of time and then I need to relax. The problem is that I'm finding that I'm having a hard time relaxing when I do have the downtime. So my husband and I baked in several days at the beach. Beach is my thing, place where I love to go to kind of like rest and ground myself. Went to the beach in March, did not feel like I relaxed any bit. Like did not like wind down. May, we took 2 trips in May. Did not feel like I was able to wind down and relax. So, what that is telling me is that I'm frankly just overscheduling myself, just too much. And I'm not leaving enough time for deep thinking because I'm just kind of go, go, go. Like the work that I'm doing is very just like action, move, get things done. And I found kind of like when I went back and looked over my calendar over these last several months that I did not bake in enough time for deep thinking. And so my brain just continued to go, go, go. And I just kept being in this action mode that it was really hard for me to actually like slow down my nervous system when I finally did have downtime. So, as leaders, we need to really spend time thinking, right? Like, when you are at that director, VP level, SVP level, or you're the business owner, like, you need time to do some strategy, right? You need to think through the problems. You need to anticipate problems that are coming up. You need to balance, short term, what's going on short term versus long term decisions that you need to make and how you can prep and prepare to get to that next level. All of those things, like, the more you move up in these levels and in your career, the actual more time you need to just do some thinking, right? And otherwise we're just running from meeting to meeting, from Zoom call to Zoom call. And when does that leave time for us to do the actual work, right? So so I definitely noticed that is not working. I've definitely overscheduled myself. I'm not actually relaxing when I do have the downtime. What I also noticed is that I fell off my regular journaling habit because I have this story that I tell myself that I don't have time. So I've just been kind of running too quickly. And while it's nice to have my therapy session in my own coach, and I meet regularly as well. So it's nice to have those reflection times. But I have admittedly fallen off that journaling habit that I talk to you all about a lot. And that was just a clue like, hey, I need to get back to that. So what do I want more of? I want more private coaching clients. I love my private clients. I love my coaching clients. It's, one of the number one reason why I started this business was because I wanted to be a coach. I wanted to be an executive and leadership coach for women. So I want more of those clients. I have some really amazing clients right now, and I want more. I want more of them. I'm going to put it out there. I want more coaching clients. I also want more speaking gigs. I want to be up there on stage. I want to be sharing this message that you are all hearing now, but I want to do it on stages, either in person or just live. I want to do it live. The other thing that I want more of is I want more just empty space on my calendar. I need more empty space on my calendar so that I can do more of that deep thinking, more of that strategic work, and just, just really thinking through, you know, my thoughts on these particular topics, so I can gather my thoughts and then again be able to share it out there more broadly. I also want more time to do some reading, to do some more kind of personal development and business reading. Because I do enjoy that. So I'm doing really great on the fiction side of things. That's a really great habit that I've created for myself. And I do it right after my gratitude journaling. So I do my gratitude journaling, but I'm not spending enough time doing my regular kind of morning journaling and just kind of reflection. So I want more time for my reading and more time for my daily kind of morning journaling practice. And I'm listening to podcasts right now. So I said I'm not really I'm not really reading a lot of business books and professional development books, but I am still listening to podcasts. But it's feeling really rushed, and I'm not actually retaining some of the stuff because I'm in the car. I'm going from one place to the next, and so it's not really scratching that itch. So I want some more time to do that reading. And I also just want more rest time. Like, frankly, like I just want more downtime, more rest time where I'm not doing deep thinking or I'm not doing the reading. I'm just chilling. I'm just chilling. I need some more of that time. So, and I know that when I have rest time, I'm able to think more clearly. I can show up for my clients better. My training programs are better because I'm able to bring the energy and the engagement. And I know that my podcast episodes are better. I can hear it in the playback when I'm editing when I sound tired and I'm just kind of, just trying to get through it. So, I want more rest time. I also want more one-on-one time with my friends and my husband. That's been kind of falling to the wayside over the last couple of weeks. And I want to get more steps in my day. I was talking to my dietitian the last time we were together, and she said something about how us in kind of Western society, we're very much like sit, 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 go to the gym for an hour, sit, 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 sit. And we need, just as humans, we need to be moving our bodies more regularly throughout the day. So I want to get more steps throughout the day. I know that I feel better physically and mentally when I have moved my body more throughout the day. So, okay, what do I want less of? I want less feelings of overwhelm, frankly. I want less feelings of overwhelm. I want less feelings of self-doubt. I want less doom scrolling on Instagram, social media, and the news. Frankly, that's a big thing for me. Like I have all my news sites that I go look at every day, multiple times a day sometimes. I need to do less of that. I know that I want to do less of that. And I also just frankly, I want some less training days. I'm doing a lot of training right now. I'm super grateful for that and it's a lot of fun, but I'm feeling a little over rotated on that. It feels kind of unbalanced between the balance that I want to have between coaching, between consulting. Training feels really heavy right now. And that's okay, right? Like, cause I agreed to a really particular training project with a company this summer. And so now I'm like, okay, so we front loaded a bunch of training this year. I want to free up now some of that time so that I can focus on some of these areas of my business. So how do I achieve these things that I want more and less of, right? So now that I've sat down and like reflected just kind of what's the state of the state, where are we at? What do I want? How do I actually now take some action on that? What do I need to do? So first of all, I'm going to decide that when feelings of overwhelm and self-doubt come up, I'm just going to observe them, maybe journal through them, right? Because I think that's been probably an issue that I've been allowing these thoughts and feelings to kind of drag me down into a shit spiral. So I'm going to observe them. I'm going to journal through them and just recognize my feelings are not in charge. I'm in charge. The mean girls in my head are not in charge. I am. So I get to choose how those feelings affect me. It's not about trying to prevent all feelings of overwhelm or all feelings of self-doubt because that's just ripe for perfectionism and just ripe for beating myself up, because the reality is we're going to feel that, right? We're human. There's going to be times where we feel overwhelmed. We're going to feel self-doubt or not super confident in something. And that's okay. But the trick is not to allow it again, drag you down into a shit spiral. So I'm just going to choose that I'm not going to allow those feelings to affect me and I'm going to journal through them. There's that. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start saying no to some training opportunities. And again, this is one of the reasons why I love doing the training because I still get to choose. I get to choose what trainings that I take on and what I don't. Um, I'm sensing a theme here around choice or control, one or the other. Maybe we need to add that to my list of things to talk to my therapist out on Monday. My continued need for control. Anyway, moving on. So I am also going to start blocking 2 different time blocks on my calendar for deep work throughout the week. So right now I'm just again super heavy on these all day trainings and it's not leaving a ton of time for me to bake in those time blocks because if I think back to last year or other times throughout the year, like earlier this year in particular, I had some really great time blocks on my calendar to do deep work, to really think through what podcast episodes I want to do next and things like that. And so I'm missing that. And so I'm just going to bake it in. I'm going to block it on my calendar. The other thing I'm going to do is if I'm having this desire to scroll social media or to check the news, then I'm going to do it while walking on the treadmill. So bought a treadmill a couple weeks ago. It is a gazillion degrees here in North Carolina right now. So there's not a ton of walking outside happening because it's just so hot. I don't know about you. Well, I do probably know about you because, climate change. It's like the hottest year ever on record. So I'm sure you're probably feeling the heat too. So we bought a treadmill a couple weeks ago. And so if I want to scroll social media or scroll the news, that's fine. Totally fine. I can do that. But I have to do it while on the treadmill. Same thing for reading time. So if I want to read a business book, then I should do it while I'm on the treadmill, especially on the days that I don't go to the gym. So I don't go to the gym every single day, and that's okay with me. But if I definitely want to get some reading time in, let's do that while I'm on the treadmill. I can, and believe me, when I say walking on the treadmill, I'm not running on the treadmill. I'm not doing that. I am briskly walking on the treadmill, so I can totally read and walk at the same time. So I'm just gonna commit myself that that's what I'm gonna do when I want to do some reading. Let's just double that up, double that habit up, stack that habit with walking on the treadmill. I'm also gonna start adding in more buffer time for myself. I'm finding that I'm struggling with context switching. That's hard for me, especially somebody with ADHD. That's typical. That's a typical thing that we struggle with. Just kind of switching from one task to the next. It takes me a while to kind of get ramped back up into the next thing that I need to be working on. So I just need to bake that in. I just need to bake more time into my schedule so that I'm not feeling so back to back, that I have a little bit more buffer time. I'm also going to pitch myself for speaking gigs and podcast interviews. If I want more speaking gigs, if I want to be on other people's podcasts, I have to pitch myself. So I'm going to do that, putting it out there. I'm going to pitch myself to be on other people's podcasts and for more speaking gigs. I'm also going to pull together my group coaching program for leaders who want to get to the director or VP level in the next year. This is a program that I've tried to launch in the past and hasn't quite worked out. And I continue to think about it and iterate on it. And I'm really excited about it. And I just cannot get it out of my head, which is telling me it's the right thing to do. And I need to get it out of my head and on paper. And I need to take some action towards pulling something together for the fall in particular. So if I want more private coaching clients, this is one of the ways that I want to do it. So I'm going to take the action to pull this together and figure this out for the fall. So I made some of those commitments. What I have also finally decided to do is actually to move this podcast frequency to every other week instead of weekly. As a strong leader, an entrepreneur, we have to do this exercise right here. We have to do this reflection, not maybe even just of us, but we have to do this exercise to kind of look around and see what are the activities that we're doing? How frequently are we doing them? Are they moving the needle forward? We need to be doing this evaluation regularly. We need to see how things are going. And the answer is not, well, we've always done it this way, so we're going to continue to do that. Like, I'm sure you've heard that at work that, whenever you've asked, why are we doing this podcast once a week? What's the purpose of that? And if if you don't have a great answer for that, frankly, I don't have a great answer. Why am I doing this podcast every week? I can tell you that I have a lot to say and I want to get my message out there to the most people as possible, but does it have to be every week? No, it doesn't. There is no rules. There's no rules. I get to make up the rules because I'm in charge. Again, there's a theme here. There's a theme that I get to choose. I get to choose how frequently I want my podcast to go out. So I've decided, you know what? I think it's better for me in this season that it goes to every other week. I know that I'm going to be able to get better quality of podcast episodes out to you in that frequency. And I'm going to be able to keep up with it as well, because I'm not going to be able to serve you with this podcast if I burn myself out and quit, which so many people do. So many people who start blogs, start podcasts, anything like this, start content creating in any way. We get really excited at the beginning and then we burn ourselves out. And so I want to have a sustaining podcast that you can come back to now every other week and get these really awesome episodes. So what I've decided to do is, again, shift the frequency to every other week instead of weekly. I've also decided that I'm going to tweak the branding of the podcast and my business overall. So it's not going to be super, super crazy, super different, but the podcast is now going to be called, moving forward, The Upgraded Leader. And that's also what my website is now going to be pointed to as well. So theupgradedleader.com is my website URL. So all the other URLs that you might have used in the past, like Nicole Case Coaching or NicoleCaseSpeaks.com, those will all still work. I still own those. I mean, can you be an entrepreneur without owning at least 10 URLs, right? And so they're all going to redirect back there to the upgraded career or the upgradedleader.com. See, it's still new. Still need to work on that. But I'm really excited for this because for me, the upgraded leader it's more inclusive because we are all leaders. We're all leaders in our own lives, in our careers, in our businesses. And actually, my first blog way back in 2017, 2018 was called Ladies Leading a Life. But I quickly realized that was a terrible name and that I didn't like blogging. So I scrapped that. But this tweak to the name just also is just going to help us be more focused on what we talk about on here, which is the challenges that we face as leaders, right? Whether we have a team in corporate or you have a team in your own business. So you're going to start hearing me kind of referring to that just a little bit more. And in our next episode, we're going to talk way more about this. We're going to talk more about kind of the adjustment that we're making here and what it means to be an upgraded leader. Like, what does that even mean, actually? So we're going to spend the next episode talking about that. But that's everything that I had for you today. I hope that you will join me in sitting down and doing your own mid-year review. Just kind of check in to see how you're doing. And if you're listening to this, like, not in July, August, that you could just do your own review anyway, right? You don't have to have a particular time of year when you do a review. Anytime you're feeling like, you know what, I'm feeling a little stressed, a little overwhelmed, that's a signal that, hey, let's sit down and do a quick review, kind of see where we're at, get the state of the state, right? And then we can make some decisions to move forward. So I'd love to hear your insights with what you've come up with. So if you did sit down and do your own mid-year review, I would love to hear kind of what you came up with, any aha moments for you. Send me an email. Send me an email at Nicole@theupgradedleader.com and let me know. I'd love to hear about it. But in the meantime, I will see you back here in 2 weeks. But remember, your career deserves an upgrade.